Hello everybody, welcome back to a little Jays Talk. Today we're going to be recapping game number 3 between the Baltimore Orioles and Toronto Blue Jays. The Baltimore Orioles pull ahead in the series 2-1 as they down the Blue Jays 9-5. And we're going to get into the recap here, but before we do, please drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the content. Alright, so Max Scherzer making his long-awaited debut for the Toronto Blue Jays. First inning, second pitch of the game, Colton Cowser takes him deep. Not ideal. He leaves a fastball right over the middle of the plate, 91 miles an hour, just a cookie. Cowser deposits it 417 feet, 1-0 Baltimore. Goes on to get a couple outs, got a little bit lucky with the Ryan O'Hearn rounding first base and then getting tagged out because he turned the wrong way, returning to the bag. So you think you're kind of getting out of it. You got 2 outs, let one in, and then boom, Westberg goes deep, 434 feet left center. So 2 absolute moonshots off of the 40-year-old legend. He ended up getting out of the inning with Mullins lining out. So it was 2-0 Baltimore right after the top of the first, so we're behind it right away. Then in the bottom of the first, Bichette comes up, leads us off with a single. Great to see. Guerrero follows that up with a single, and you're starting to think like, okay, now we're cooking with gas. You know, we've got a shot here, but based on how last game went, we didn't do well in these situations. Anthony Santander comes up and is the 3rd single in a row. Bichette scores. Guerrero Jr. moves to second. So, 2-1 Orioles at this point with none out. Jimenez comes up, flies out to left. Santander moves to second. Guerrero moves to third. Progress, second and third, 1 out. Kirky then hits a sac fly to right. Guerrero scores. Santander moves to third. Second and third, 2 out. Wagner strikes out swinging. So not a bad inning. You get your first 3 on and, bases loaded, none out. You score 2. You're okay with that, but definitely could have done more damage. Scherzer settles in the second inning, goes 3 up, 3 down. Kramer comes out, puts us out, 3 up, 3 down. So, the pitching settles in there. Top of the third, same thing. Max Scherzer goes 3 up, 3 down again. But then in the dugout, he goes over and talks to Pete Walker immediately. And then Chris Bassett comes over and Schneider's over and all that. You can tell something's going on and he's kind of moving his arm around. Everyone's looking at the thumb, obviously, because of the issues that he's had all year. Or all spring training, I should say. But later it came out that he had a lat, either kind of cramp or strain. But anyways, so he had 3 up, 3 down in the top of the third, 3 innings complete, and then he gets pulled from the game. Bottom of the third inning, though, Bichette walks, Guerrero Jr. strikes out, Santander strikes out, Jimenez hits a home run, his 2nd of the year, 407 feet. So suddenly Jimenez is actually looking all right in that cleanup spot. Again, I don't think he'll stay there, but hey, he's doing his, 3 games in, 2 home runs, can't complain. It's 4-2 Blue Jays now in the bottom of the third. Kirky pops out to end the inning. In the fourth, we move to Richard Lovelady, and you know what? He's been given a couple shots here to start the year, and he has done nothing with it, and I would imagine if he's not sent down after this game, it's coming. I don't want to say high hopes because we're talking about the 8th guy in the bullpen, but I had hopes for Lovelady that he would keep bottled up what he had in Tampa Bay at the end of last year, because he was lights out the last couple months for Tampa Bay Rays, and I thought, he'd at least be passable, but it goes both ways here because it's the pitching as a whole. It's not just the bullpen. Lovelady looked terrible, but your starters have combined now for 14 innings pitched in 3 starts, and that's just not going to get it done. You shouldn't have your quote-unquote worst relievers coming in this early in games, in tight games, 2 out of your first 3 games. The first one wasn't a tight game, but I mean, we're putting so much workload on this bullpen that you're having to go to these guys in the 4th inning at the point you're winning 4-2. That just shouldn't be happening. So O'Hearn doubles off of him. Westberg strikes out swinging. Mullins gets hit by a pitch, and I'll just check here real quick on Mullins. Yeah, it was the first pitch. So he tries to throw a sinker, and his sinker was taken off on him arm side. Every sinker he threw looked like that. So yeah, he hits a lefty in Mullins, a lefty-on-lefty matchup, and then he hits Kjerstad right after. Sanchez hits a sac fly, makes it 4-3 for the Blue Jays. Holiday then walks. Urias doubles to right. He hit a liner that Santander was going back for. A good fielding right fielder probably makes that play, but there's not much Santander could have done. He had an all right break on the ball. It went over his head. It was on an absolute rope, so, it's not really his fault either. So that was scorched to the wall. Makes it 6-4 Orioles, bases clearing, and then he strikes out Cowser to end the inning. And then, if you were watching the game, Lovelady did like a little fist bump when he got that strikeout, and everyone's just kind of going like, dude, walk off the field and just, cover your head. But anyways, yeah, so 6-4 Orioles after the top of the fourth. Kramer's still kind of cruising in the bottom of 4 as he gets Wagner, Schneider, Clement in order. And then you move on to the 5th. And now you got Jacob Barnes in there. And again, like these guys, neither one of them is running with this job. And Barnes is likely going to be gone as well. We're just counting down the days until we get Ryan Burr back, Eric Swanson. Call up Easton Lucas, call up Fluharty, somebody. We got to move on from these two. It's pretty much been enough already. It's not entirely their fault. They're getting thrown in tight ball games in the 5th inning. But, it is what it is. You got to move on. Rutschman doubles to left. O'Hearn strikes out swinging. Westberg gets on. Mullins singles to right. Kjerstad hits a sac fly. Sanchez grounds out to end it, but it's now 8-4 Orioles. So the Mullins single scores Rutschman, and Westberg goes to third. And then when Kjerstad hit a sac fly, it scored Westberg. So yeah, 8-4 Orioles through top of 5th. Dean Kramer still cruising along. But then Nathan Lucas walks. Bichette singles. He was 4 for 4 on the day. Bichette looked great. Bichette moved along on a wild pitch, and Guerrero Jr. was able to ground out to the shortstop and at least score Nathan Lucas. So you're going, all right, 8-5. We've got the what I would consider our worst bullpen arms out of the way. Barnes has already been in. Lovelady's been in. We're down 3. The offense has been clicking. We put up 5. So you know what? We're not out of it yet. Santander strikes out, and then Jimenez grounds out. So again, just, scoring 5 runs, nothing wrong with it. But you'd like to see them just capitalize a little bit more on these on these opportunities. Jacob Barnes comes out to start one more inning. He gets a strikeout, then lets up a single. Chad Green comes in, gets out of the inning for him. 8-5 through the top of 6. You got Dean Kramer, gets Kirky to ground out, and then we see Keegan Aiken come in. Wagner hit a double off of him that was scorched down the line. It was a nice piece of hitting, and then unfortunately, again, a runner in scoring position. Davis Schneider strikes out, Ernie Clement grounds out. The story of this young season is, not taking advantage of the opportunities like you'd see. Chad Green comes back over the 7th. He'd only thrown, I think, 6 pitches through that mop-up in the 6th, so he was good to come out for a second one. Gets a flyout and then lets up an absolute bomb again to Westberg. This Orioles team's got a lot of power, and if you're leaving things over the plate, they are going to get deposited in the stands. This was a slider left middle, and boy, when you leave things middle on these guys, they do not miss. So he settled down and got a flyout and a strikeout after that. Cano came out and shut us down in the bottom of 7. So you're sitting with a 9-5 game heading into the 8th, not feeling great. This is the part where Baltimore, their pitching is not great, but their back end of their bullpen has some real stuff, and they can throw some fireballers at you. So yeah, you don't like getting into these situations. This is where the game starts to feel like it's getting away. 9-5, top of 8. Jimmy Garcia came out and did Jimmy stuff. He looked great. He had a clean inning. Soto comes in for the Orioles, and this is where you start to get into trouble, but we did all right. Jimenez was able to work a walk. Kirky struck out. Springer came in and walked, so you got 2 on again. So it's like you're like, oh, okay, didn't really expect this, but here we go. Sir Anthony Dominguez comes in, just another guy that throws 98 out of their pen or whatever he was throwing. He was throwing gas anyways. Yeah, 98. I'm just checking his pitch log here. Roden, it says lined out to third, but he got a fastball in on the hands. It was 98, and he took a good swing at it, but it just kind of flared off of his bat and went straight to the third baseman, just like a little 50-mile-an-hour exit velocity type thing. And then Ernie Clement strikes out afterwards. So, yeah, this bullpen did a pretty good job of shutting us down when they've come in, when their good guys have come in, I should say. Jeff Hoffman pitched the 9th, basically because we were out of bodies at this point. Nobody was really fit to go, and he hadn't seen any workload yet this year, so he came in and pitched the 9th, and he was good. He got a ground out, got a line out, let up an infield single, and then struck out Mullins to get a clean inning out of him as well for the top of the 9th. And in the bottom of the 9th, down 9-5. Lucas strikes out. Bichette hits a rope of a double. Again, like I said, he was 4 for 4 on the day with a walk, I believe. Let's just double check that. Bichette 4 for 4 with a walk. Yeah, so he's moved his average to 500 early on in the year here. And you're thinking, again, 9-5. It's Felix Batista in, though. So, try not to get too high against a guy like that because he is so shut down normally. Guerrero Jr. strikes out again. Santander walks, and then Jimenez is struck out to finish the game. So we put a little bit of pressure on them. The only real takeaway from the 9th there, the only positive takeaway, is Felix Batista is likely not available for game number 4. So that's, really looking for silver lining there. We burnt out a lot of their good relievers, have pitched, a couple times already and put on some serious pitches. So maybe you get to them the third time through in game number 4, provided we can keep it close. But yeah, 9-5 Orioles. The starting pitching has been a problem. Those last couple of relievers have been a problem. I'm interested to see who's going to get called up because I would imagine Scherzer is going to go on to the IL, and we're going to have to replace a starter. And then I would imagine we're going to look for some fresh arms for the bullpen too. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Barnes or Lovelady get moved on from already. I would not be shocked at all. Even just from a workload perspective, we've basically run out of innings in that bullpen. We've got Hoffman left, I think, is the only guy that's only thrown once, and everybody else is pretty taxed. And maybe you can get Yariel back out there in tomorrow's game. Anyways, not a great game. The vibes are not high right now, but you know what? We keep moving forward, and hopefully we can get a split in game number 4. Anyways, what were your guys' takeaways? Did you watch the game? What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.